Look, it is not a step-by-step process. It is not something that you have to do in sequential order to get things done. Design thinking at its core is a mindset, is a methodology that you have to use in order to keep thinking about the user in every step of the way. From when you talk about an idea of a product to execution and delivery, how does this impact the user as well as make the business money? Because at the end of the day, like I say, if users don't want to use your product, you will not make money and you will not have company, and therefore you will not have a job, right? So I have a problem with her saying that design thinking is a step-by-step process. No, it is not. What up, unicorns? It's me. It's your boy, Eric Abram. Spit all over fucking self. Gonna try that again. What up, unicorns? It's me. It's your boy, Eric Abram. And welcome to the Ugly Unicorns podcast show, whatever you want to call this. Welcome to the new format. It is no longer going to be called UX Unicorns. So I talked about, I think I gave an announcement last week about why I'm changing. So let me just sort of elaborate a little bit more. So, as we all know, I made the transition from being a graphic designer to being a UX designer. And, with that, I was all in on UX design. I was just like, I'm over here looking at my thing. I was over here like, yo, how do I give back to the community? How do I set myself as a thought leader in the space? How do I do all these great things? And so like, oh yeah, I do a podcast, and I already had the YouTube channel where I was doing some other things, talking about design, talking about UX design, but I didn't call the podcast. I didn't call the YouTube channel UX Unicorns. I didn't call the website UX Unicorns, and so from that perspective, it just only made sense for me to call the podcast Ugly Unicorns because, you go to the website, it says Ugly Unicorns. You go to the YouTube channel, it says Ugly Unicorns. You go to LinkedIn, you see the Ugly Unicorns business page there as well. If you haven't become a member of that, sign up for that. It's all good. And so from a branding perspective and from a visual perspective, as far as like how I communicate to my audience, it just made more sense to do it that way. And also, I didn't want to get put into this corner to where I can only talk about user experience. Like I said before, I love user experience and I like talking about it, but it's only so much you can talk about when it comes to user experience, man. Cause like I have other interests. I like to talk and do a lot of different things, and only talking about user experience can probably get a little daunting and a little burnt out about it because I do UX, consulting and mentorship and coaching. I go to work, I do user experience. On the podcast, I talk about user experience. I need to break that up a little bit. And so a lot of people, they're showing the love and saying like, I'm really excited about the new format, smart move, makes sense. Like all my audience members, they get it. Everybody gets it and everybody understands. And at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about, not only user experience, but design as a whole, because I think user experience design can kind of fall into that bucket, not entirely in that bucket, but it can go inside that bucket of design. And you know me, I do jujitsu. You know me, I own my own business. I do a lot of different things. I love tech. I love car tech, Teslas, and the new Ford that just came out. I want to talk about all those things. I want to talk about all those things and give my opinion on those things too, because those things excite me. I listen to other podcasts, others podcasts, and they talk about technology. I'm like, man, I'm really interested in that stuff too. I want to talk about that stuff. So why not? Why not do it? It's my platform, and I'm so early in the process to where it's not too late to turn around. Like, just like with Agile, it's not too late to turn around. If I was doing this like a waterfall, I've been doing this for years, it'd be kind of hard to turn that giant container ship around and try to redirect and do a different course. But I'm pretty nimble at the moment, and so that's the reason why we're changing the podcast to Ugly Unicorns Podcast. I even updated the background. I even updated the images on the podcast. So if you see it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Spotify, you'll see the image has been updated, and also the name has been updated to Ugly Unicorns. But anyways, I know that I haven't put out a podcast in probably about week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe. I know I did one over I keep scratching my nose because like just dust in here and it's really getting all over my face. But yeah, so haven't put out a podcast in a minute, and I'm really sorry about that, guys. There's been a lot going on. For one instance, just keep thinking about my dad at the moment. He's in the hospital right now. I won't get into what he's in the hospital for, but he has to get surgery on Wednesday. So just keep my dad in your thoughts. Positive vibes. Send it towards his way. He's at the VA right now in Birmingham. And so just keep my dad in your thoughts. And that's probably one reason why I haven't really been doing the podcast. I've been really worried about him. I called him yesterday. He seems in pretty good spirits, we're laughing and talking. He was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, he's still in the hospital right now. So I called him on his phone. And, my wife and I, we went out to go eat some ramen yesterday. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "Oh, my wife and I, we're out eating Japanese ramen." He's like, "I knew it. You love it. Okinawan," because I was born in Japan, so like he just laughed about that. So I thought that was pretty cool. We had a cool conversation. So I let him off the phone, let him go back to sleep and all that good stuff. So he's doing really good right now. I'm really happy for him. Really proud of him. Sending all my love towards him. Everybody's been mad concerned about him, but like he's like, "Look, don't worry about pops. God got me. We good." I'm like, "All right. You good? You good. I ain't gonna press the matter. I ain't gonna worry him. I'm not gonna make him stressed out because he said he's good. He's good. We're gonna see." But he said he seems very positive right now, so I'm gonna be positive right now, even though he's sitting in the hospital bed. But I think that's what dads do, man. Like dads, even when they're at their lowest points, they will freaking be strong for their children no matter what. That's a good quality to have, man. Dads are just strong, man. Even when they're like down, they're still trying to be strong and show that they like, look, it's okay, because they don't want their kids to worry. Even at the end of the day, he's in the hospital. He's worried about the feelings of our family and how they perceive him. So shouts out to my dad. Dad, I hope you get better, man. When you do get better, we could do some cool stuff, man. So I'll have to go take a visit when everything's all good and COVID's calmed down just a smidge. I can't go visit my dad at the moment because of COVID, and it makes sense. I don't want to introduce another level of concern showing up at the hospital with all the COVID stuff going around. But my mom's there; she's taking care of him. And she's she's reporting back, giving us updates. But yeah, so start with a Debbie Downer, I know, but at the same time, my dad's, he's a military guy. He was in the military for like 16 plus years, so he's a strong fellow, man. Even though he's a little older, but he's a still strong-willed individual, and that's where I get some of my stuff from. And my wife always makes fun of me. She says I get my laugh from my dad because like whenever we hear something funny, we kind of like do that We like outburst laugh, and she just thinks that's the cutest thing ever. She's like, "That's where you get your laugh from," because like when she first met him, we both laugh at the same time. It's like a choir going off. It was insane. But shouts out to my dad, man. Yo, dad, yo, pops, man. Stay up, bruh. Stay up, bruh. Stay up, bruh. Anyways, something else that's pretty cool that happened to me, if we get off that, is I got promoted. Well, I didn't get promoted, but I got promoted to my 4th stripe on my blue belt. I got the proof right here. Check it out. So on Sunday, I think, was it Sunday? Saturday? Sometime over the weekend, I got promoted to my 4th stripe on my blue belt. I am very, very excited. And in this belt, I hold injuries, blood, sweat, tears, tiresome, headaches, backaches, neck aches, all this years. This is about, would you say, this is about 4 years into this belt. My first belt was a white belt. And I got my blue belt like I was like a 3-stripe white, and I got it in about a year. So this belt here, I've been wearing this for about 4 years now. Be 4 years in May, actually. So yeah, this represents 4 years of hard work, dedication on those mats, getting tapping people, competition, everything like that. So shout out to my coaches, shout out to my teammates, shout out to everybody that helped me reach these 4 stripes. The next step, baby, is purple belt. So shouts out to that. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to jiu-jitsu, man. Like this here brings me a lot of joy. This is just a lot of hard work goes into this, and this is just a visual representation of that hard work, on and off the mats. Where you're like, not only are you going to training, but sometimes you get a little obsessed and you freaking watch a lot of videos. You download and buy a lot of courses. You get a grappling dummy. You call him Steve, and you get your own grappling mats. I'm gonna put this down. And you just practice in your house. So I'm probably gonna go get Steve, and later and work on some stuff, man. So shouts out to jiu-jitsu. Other things that's been happening to me. I think last week I had a coaching/mentorship call. Went really well with the girl out of Chicago. I won't say your name, but a conversation went really well. About 30 minutes. She booked a 30-minute session. Basically went over her portfolio, talked about some different things. She's a graphic designer, and she's looking into getting into user experience, and she has some really nice work. Like, she's a really good illustrator. Like, man, she should start her own freaking greeting card company, because that junk looks legit. Like, it looked so nice. I was like, this is some nice work. Like, I can't do any of this. But yeah, she's an illustrator at heart. She's done some graphic design too. Like, her strong suit is like really, really good illustrations, and like she could do a lot with that. She can go far with that. Like, I believe like she can do so much with that. She could start her own freaking like Etsy freaking greeting card store on Etsy. On Etsy? Yeah, on Etsy, and she can make buku bucks from that. But we talked about, user experience and getting into that. And basically, I'm a former graphic designer, so I'll offer how I got into user experience and my approach. And I think it really resonated with her. She's taking a lot of notes, and like I gave her a lot of like resources that she can go to. I told her what she needs to probably do to try to get started. And, book another session so we can go over the different things that you worked on, and maybe I can steer you into the right direction even more. But shouts out to her. Appreciate the bookings, and appreciate everybody else that booked some even more calls with me. I really like helping you guys out, man. Like, you help me, but at the same time, I like helping you guys as well, because giving back to the community and helping these fresh UXers out there really, really lights a fire under my ass, man. It keeps me motivated to keep going, to doing this podcast and to keeping the website open and doing different things like that, because I look at all the things that I'm doing to help others reach their goals at the end of the day. And you guys help me reach my goals too. Like everybody who's subscribed to the podcast and everybody who's subscribed to the YouTube channel. And speaking of subscribe to the YouTube channel, yo, shouts out to the Ugly Unicorns gang, man. Shouts out to y'all because look, I was looking at my analytics today. This might not seem like a lot to most people. I get it. But in the past 28 days, I've gained over 150 subscribers. Can you believe that? In 28 days. Man, that is so exciting. I'm reaching so many different people from all over the world. It is amazing it is just amazing that you guys want to listen to me. You guys want to hear what I have to say. Yo, shouts out to your Ugly Unicorn Squad. Yo, bang, bang, gang, gang. Shouts out to y'all, man, because you guys are the reason why I do this. You guys keep the channel going, and you guys are amazing. And yo, keep the questions coming. Keep the comments coming. I know sometimes I can't reach out to everybody and respond to everybody, but yo, shouts out to everybody in the Ugly Unicorn Squad representing. Bang, 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 bang. What am I talking about? I keep slobbering, man. Man, yeah, man, that's been awesome, man. Just being able to mentor and coach individuals, man, really, it's really cool, man. Just seeing people's eyes light up and with the things that I say, and they just like have that aha moment, and they say, "Oh my God, I didn't think about it like that." Like, yeah. And so, yeah, man, I really appreciate everybody that does that. But yeah, how's everybody's week been? I mean, new year, new you, right? 2021. That's how we feel. New year, new you. I don't remember if this is the first podcast of 2021 or the second. But anyways, happy new year. Shouts out to y'all. And just keep it up. Like I said, this might be the second one. I don't really know. But anyway, let's keep it up. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this Ugly Unicorns podcast flowing and going. You feel me? But anyways, how was everybody's week last week and last 2 weeks? Because I haven't heard of anybody because I haven't asked. Anyway, but for me, man, I will say this. These past 2 weeks for me have been so busy. You know, all the other stuff outside of work, you know, that keeps me busy. But actually the work, oh my God, it's been so busy for me because the person who is the lead UX on my team right now, they're off doing other things, other projects. And so now I'm taking lead on the particular project. So they approach me and say like, hey, you know, how do you feel about, you know, in less words, how do you feel about taking lead on this as I go do these things? And we can bring in somebody else to kind of help you out and help you with some things that you need done. I'm like, yeah, why not? Challenge accepted. And look, I took that thing head on, man. I'm taking it head on 100%. And let me tell you, it is a struggle bus to design and do all different things at once, all by yourself. I understand the value of team and team help and teammates and team everything because, man, when you're the only one working on a project, it is cumbersome. It is tough, man. It is tough city. But I'm making it work, man. I'm making it work. I'm grinding. Even though I have to put in, you know, 9-hour days, 10-hour days, you know, I got to get it done. I got to get it done because that's what they hired me to do. They know I can do it. They trusted me to do it. And that's the end of the day. That's all I want. That's all I want is having that trust from my boss on down for me to deliver, from my stakeholders, etc. Because at the end of the day, yeah, he may be off doing what he needs to do for this other project. He's going to come back later, but it's business as usual. Everything is still going. they're like, Eric, we need this, we need this, we need to do this, and this. I'm facilitating the meetings, I'm putting them on, I'm hosting them, I'm facilitating and doing user testing to help validate these ideas because, you know me, I don't like to argue. I like to bring in the facts. I like to bring in the truth. I like to bring in the data. I don't like to get into this, what if this, what if that? Great. So one moment in a meeting where we're talking about this one particular flow, we're just doing wireframes at the moment. And it keeps going back to people's personal opinions. I'm just like, look, I respect that you guys have been here for a long time. I respect all the domain knowledge that you deliver, and you come from this background where you know a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, you, my friend, you are not the user. And I trust your judgment, but at the same time, I'm an expert and I need to be treated as such. And if I have a situation where we should go in this direction, you should go in this direction, you know what's gonna be the tiebreaker? The test. Let's test it. And so I challenge my stakeholders to let's just test these ideas, because I hate to get in these battles in arguments about nothing. I want to go this way. You want to go this way. Let's see what the users think. Let's see what the users think, because at the end of the day, that's who we need to focus on. They are the ones making the decisions. They're the ones who bring in the money so we can have jobs. So why not deliver the best experience for them? Not the best experience that I think, not the best experience that you think. Yeah, we can come with these preliminary ideas and how we think things should go. But if the user goes through this test and they fumble and dumble and they don't understand and the content is weird, we got to go back and assess and realize, hey, our ideas don't work with our audience. It just doesn't work. So we need to go back to the drawing board and correct the things that will help them get through the process just a little bit smoother, a little bit better, gain some more understanding. Because I hate getting into these situations where, a stakeholder wants this and one stakeholder wants this and I want to do this, and it just makes for like too long of a meeting. And the fact that we come into these meetings and no data is being produced behind all these different arguments. Nobody's bringing in any saying like, I know people are saying like, well, users are blah, blah, blah. They want this, this, and this. I'm like, how do you know that? Where are you getting that from? Can I see it? And if I can't see it, I don't believe it, because seeing is believing in this user experience thing. And at the end of the day, if I can't see what you're talking about, if I can't see the data, if I can't see all the raw information that the user has provided to you, I'm sorry, but I just can't trust you, because I don't know if you have ulterior motive. You're just trying to get your idea across and not listen to what the user wants. And so that has been a big, big thing for me. It's just like, I understand the true value of user testing and usability testing, for this matter, for what I'm trying to do. The true value in it, because not only does usability testing help validate ideas and help with your application, it can also end arguments. Listen to me, guys. It can also end arguments, because if you guys are arguing about what's the best experience to be, but nobody is saying maybe we should test with our users, that is an issue, because now you are putting your own biases into it. You're replacing your ideas and ideologies in the place of the user, and that does not fly with me. We gotta test these. We gotta test this out with users, man. And that all goes back into the design thinking methodology, being user focused, and putting the user in the forefront in every step of the process. Like, guys, you have to remember, you are not the user, and we can't get into these situations where we're ego designing, where we're putting our own ideas and our own. Yeah, we can put our own expertise into it, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at the detriment to the user, right? Because the way you think in ways the users think are totally different ways because you are not the user of the product. You are the designer of the product. If you don't incorporate the user's feedback and what they want, your product is going to fail. Quibi. Did I just say Quibi? Look, at the end of the day, we do not want to make Quibbies. I'm going to make this a freaking action verb, bro. Like, Google it. Whatever. If I even use that right. We do not want to make a Quibi, bro. That is something we don't want to do in our design process. So, and speaking of design thinking, so I don't know if you guys heard about this one lady. Her name is Natasha Jen. Hope I said her name right. I think she published this particular talk where she talked about design thinking is bullshit. Excuse my French, but it is her words. And this was published, I think this came out in 2017. And I kind of want to just play a little bit of this particular talk. And then I want to get into it and give my thoughts on it. So let's get into this. Let's take a listen at what she has to say.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about design thinking today. I'm a designer. I'm a practicing, I would say, graphic designer. That's still the term that I would like to use to describe myself, although our practice is...
So I'm just going to pause for a second. She's still a practicing graphic designer. As we all know, graphic designers they want to jump straight to the solution, but let's just continue on this.
Extremely wide, going from brand identity design to expression, to publication, to motion, so on and so forth. So we have been living with this term, design thinking, in our everyday life for a while now, and it has become such a buzzword. And that is my precise problem with design thinking in today's society, and particularly in design.
So branding's not a buzzword either? Branding's not a buzzword? I just wanted to say, like, yes, design thinking could be a buzzword, but also branding is a huge buzzword because people don't even understand branding. They think branding is just making a logo. They don't think branding as these other things that go into it, like your voice and tone, your messaging. That's part of your branding, but the buzzword branding goes to straight up visual design, what it looks like, etc. So yeah, just continue on this.
Community right now is a kind of complete lack of criticism on it, and I think that as somebody who like myself really cares about what we put out in the world, I think that we gotta take a step back and really kind of look at what we mean by design thinking and what it does to our world and to ourselves. Okay, so if you Google design thinking and go to the image area, this is pretty much what you will see. So this was found in May 1st, 2017, last month. You know, as you can see, that it's typically visualized and represented as 5 somehow hexagons. I don't know why hexagons. So typically 5 steps, right? And they go linearly. Okay, so now let's look at the steps. Okay, so the 5 steps are empathize, which we all know that we gotta, understand the users, their needs, so on and so forth, and be very sympathetic to the situation that they're in. And then we really gotta define the parameter, right? And then with the parameter defined, we ideate, we come up with concepts, and then we have to prototype very quickly to realize these concepts, and then test the prototypes with the users. Sounds all really reasonable, right?
Yes, it does.
I'm sure a lot of practice design or design thinking through this very linear particular methodology. But take a pause. Okay, think about what is really lacking here when you present something to, meaning design, to your colleagues, to people. The first thing that people would react to is what I call crit. So crit is completely missing from this process? What is design crit? What is design criticism? For those who have gone to design school,
Crit is
you
like
know
critique.
how important that is in every step of the design, every discussion. You bring forth an idea, you bring forth an evidence, and then everybody crit the heck out of it. And that's when you can make improvement. That's when you can begin to really evaluate if something is valuable, is good at all. But I think that this critical step of evaluating whether something is good or not is completely missing in today's design thinking conversation. And then my second problem is that design is now reduced to a single tool that is called 3M Post-its. And you're probably pretty familiar with these images.
Yeah.
Seriously, go type in
We
design
do this a
thinking,
lot.
and you will see these are the images that come up in Google. And that is really telling, you know. And that I think is highly problematic because, as you know, the world that we're in right now is messy and it's beautiful, it's inspiring, it's with a lot of stuff. And then there are many ways, tools too, to use to actually create and think about design. And why do we end up with a single medium here right now? And that's something I really hope someone can explain to me. So here's sort of my...
All right. So, there's a few things to unpack with her particular talk here. She goes on and talks about, design thinking and goes through like the history of like who developed the terminology and IDEO. And basically she doesn't really understand the process of what design thinking is. But there's a few things to unpack. So first of all, when she first got on stage, she mentioned that she was a graphic designer, like a practicing graphic designer. And not saying anything wrong with graphic designer, but when you approach a situation that you don't understand through the lens of your own view as a graphic designer, you don't really see, you're not really trying to look at the lens through somebody else's eyes. You're not really going to understand it. Right. So she's approaching it as a designer, as a traditional designer. She mentioned college, she mentioned school, she mentioned design school. She mentioned, critiques and having other designers critique your work and talk about your work and try to improve your work. And so I have a problem with that statement. Because traditional graphic design school, yes, I've been through design school where you design something, you put it on the wall, and everybody who is a designer talks about your work and offers their opinion on how to make it better. It's kind of subjective, right? As far as because designers are looking at things like colors and typography and style and layout, shit like that, right? So they're gonna basically talk about it in that way. But as a UX professional, we look at things like, how does this help the actual user? How is this functional for the user? At the end of the day, we don't really care what it really looks like sometimes. Is it functional? Is it easy to use? And can a user get from point A to point Z without having any roadblocks? And if that is the case, that is a great product. And then we can start adding the pretty things on there and start adding the paint just to add a little bit more delight on top of it. We talk about delight a lot when it comes to user experience. And then she talked about, design thinking as the step-by-step process. Look, it is not a step-by-step process. It is not something that you have to do in sequential order in order to get things done. Design thinking at its core is a mindset, is a methodology that you have to use in order to keep thinking about the user in every step of the way. From when you talk about it, when you talk about an idea of a product to execution and delivery, how does this impact the user as well as make the business money? Because at the end of the day, like I say, if users don't want to use your product, you will not make money and you will not have company, and therefore you will not have a job. Right? So I have a problem with her saying that design thinking is a step-by-step process. No, it is not. Design thinking is a methodology that people use to help themselves have the user in the forefront of everything that they do. Right? Because without thinking about your end user, the person who's going to actually use the product, you are just putting your own biases into it. You're putting your own decisions into it. You're not really thinking about the end user. And so that to me is an issue. She also brought up this whole 3M, post-it note. I found that kind of funny. I get it. But the reason why you use a 3M or a sticky note of that small of a size is it helps you look at things in more of a higher level of thinking. Because as a designer, you tend to get too granular with your execution. You want to talk about any and everything. You want to get into all the finite details instead of thinking like super high level, 10,000 feet. That's why it's such a small thing, because you can only put a certain amount of words on a sticky note. You can't put a whole paragraph on a sticky note because guess what? People can't see it. So therefore, when you write these sticky notes up and you put them on your wall, you're able to see like high level ideas and not these super granular, get into the weeds conversations that take 2 hours ideas. Basically look at it like concept A, B, C, D. And what are those problems? How do we solution for those problems? And how does this help the user at the end of the day? And I think that is one of the issues. And when she brought up the whole critiquing thing, like I said before, critiquing doesn't really help in design thinking because it is you offering your own bias into it. You're not thinking about the user. And at the end of the talk, you guys can go check it out on your own. It's only 13 minutes. She talks about, hey, design thinker people, once you bring something to the table, some concrete evidence or whatever, that is what we do. Evidence is exactly what we do. Like I said before, when you go into these stakeholder meetings, you're bringing in evidence. You're bringing in hardcore data to help validate the decisions that you've made. Because without it, you get into these arguments. You get into these critiques, and these critiques are bias in information or subjective ideas being brought upon you by people who think they know better than you. Guess what? These people offering critiques, guess what they're not? They are not your user base. So therefore, why would you take a critique from another designer who's not actually the user? Like, I get it, like collaboration, you might think of like, maybe you could probably put this here. I get it. All right, if that's the case, let's A/B test it. Let's do a preference test and see what our users want. Because at the end of the day, graphic design is all subjective. It's all based on the taste of the person who gets paid the most, the hippo. The highest paid person's opinion. It is all based on that person's opinion and their particular taste, not the actual user's preference, the people who are actually using the product. And I think her approach to design thinking, she's looking at it as a step-by-step process to help that anybody can just use to implement to make things better. That is not what it is. And I think she missed the mark on this because it's an ideology. It's a way of thinking to help you get through a particular product. Because you just can't build a product that nobody wants. Like, who did you talk to help validate these decisions? Like, who did you test this idea with? And the reason why you do this design thinking process is because you don't want to go to market with a product that's unproven. Right? That's what R&D is. You don't want to go through a process that's unproven. And when you launch the process and put all this money into it, that's when you realize it's a failure. That's when you realize it doesn't work. Man, it's too late. Now you got a Quibi on your hands because you didn't take the proper steps or the proper tools. You didn't use the proper tools to get the things out that you need to get, or get the information that you need to get in the first place before you spent all this money in development. And I think that's what she's kind of missing here, because at the end of the day, graphic designers are solution heavy. They hear a particular problem. They don't ask why. They ask like, what could I do to make it? What could I do this? They want to immediately jump to just making things and putting things on paper and giving you what you want. Like, yo, you need to talk to some people. You need to ask why. You're not asking why. And the fact that she, Googled design thinking and come with all these different hexagons and circles and things like that. That's, to me, yeah, that's funny and all, but it's just a representation of the mindset. It's just a representation of the methodology. It's not like, yo, step one, do this. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you don't have to go in a linear fashion with design thinking, right? You can start at testing. Then you go to prototyping, you go to testing, you can go to empathize. You can whatever you are in the process, you could do whatever you want. It's a feedback loop. And so it's not a linear type of deal. You can be anywhere in that process, but at the same time, you always have to think about your user to make sure this is exactly what they want. And so this talk came out in 2017. And so there was an article that basically says, let me scroll up real quick. When it talks about design-driven companies and how these companies are doing way better than the S&P 500 in the span of over 10 years. And this particular study came out in 2014, and her talk came out in 2017. That lets me know that she didn't really do too much research about design thinking. She was looking at design thinking in the form of like design. She keeps thinking about the word design. So maybe it's the fault of the marketing. We say design thinking. Maybe it's a different terminology that we can use to where people won't get hung up on the word design, because when people hear the word design, they automatically think of colors, images, typography, etc. They're not really thinking about the methodology. They're excluding the thinking part of it. The strategy, the methodologies, the mindset. They're excluding the thinking. It's called design thinking, not design only, or not thinking only. It's design thinking. And so I think that's one thing that really messes us up as UX designers. It's like, I'm just going with a slight little tangent before I get into the design-driven companies that outperform the S&P 500 over 10 years. And is that we take our own. So the job title is user experience designer, right? You are designing an experience for a user. That is the proper way to lay out the job title. But for some reason, we call it UX design. People don't understand what the word UX means, but they do understand what design means and what they think design is. And so when you call yourself a UX designer, I might have talked about this in previous podcasts. You are eliminating the actual job title that you are perceiving. You're eliminating the definition of what you do. You are shortening it. And so when people see UX designer, they're like, what is that? But when you say, I'm a user experience designer, people are like, oh, you design experiences for users? Yes. It's self-explanatory. It doesn't need too much explaining. When we say UX, it's like we devalue the user experience part of our job. And people only focus on the design part of that title. And so design is not perceived as being of higher value. So people automatically devalue you because you have design in your job title. And this it's just a different it's like a psychology thing, because they always grew up thinking that graphic design was something that you did at the end of a process. It's like slapping a coat of paint on the wall. It's like what you've done after you've already built the house. Versus like, hey, we're in the process of helping you build this house and helping you understand why your house needs to be built this way. And at the end of it, we can make it look pretty as well. But the doors need to open, the windows need to open and close, the toilet needs to flush, the faucets need to work, the plumbing needs to work, the lights need to cut off and on. That's the experience, right? Then we can put the coats of paint on. Then we can put in the granite countertops, but everything else needs to be laid out so it works and functions. And that's a big problem today. And so as we go through this, design-driven companies that outperform I cannot say this word, that outperform the S&P 500 over 10 years, this was very interesting. And I thought, and this study went from 2004 to 2014, and her talk came out in 2017, so 3 years after. And that just lets me know that she does not understand why design thinking or design-led companies are valuable, because design-led companies are kicking ass. And I'm going to show you a graph in a minute. But this was taken through Forrester and provided by Adobe. Design-led company. What's a design-led company? A design-led company is one that puts design at the core of its brand. The company weaves design principles into everything it does, from research and strategy to creating content. Leadership and management and all these companies think beyond transactions and focus on creating beautiful experiences that build lasting and meaningful relationships with customers. Listen to that. Leadership and management at these companies think beyond transactions. Because they want to build lifelong, meaningful relationships with their customers, because customer retention is hard out here in these streets. It is hard out here in these streets to keep people coming back to your product and wanting to use it. That's why design thinking is so, so great. Look, design-led companies reported 41% higher market share, 46% competitive advantage overall, 50% more loyal customers, 70% digital experiences beat competitors. Guys, this is not a study that was done over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. This is a study that was done over 10 years. This is some hard truth. This is some hard data that people don't understand. Like, design thinking and its methodologies and putting design-led actions at the forefront of your business can really make your business explode. People don't understand it. It is very, very important, man. It is important that you put your users first, your customers first at the end of the day. Don't just make a product and try to market it to them. Don't just make a product and try to force sell it down their throats. Make a product that they actually want to use. And that's why design thinking is so important. And a lot of young designers that come up and want to do user experience, they don't understand that. All they think about is, that's why I hate the term UI UX designer. To me, it's two different roles. It's two different ways of thinking. And also product designers is being thrown out as a different way of thinking as well. And so I challenge everybody who wants to be a user experience designer, a user experience designer, a user interface designer, or a product designer, know the freaking differences between the roles. Know the differences of what you need to do within that role. Because a lot of y'all don't get it. A lot of y'all don't understand it, especially the people coming up who are purely graphic designers. They think that user experience, UI UX designer is primarily about making only visuals. That is not what it's about. It's not only about making wireframes. It's not only about making prototypes. It's not only about making mock-ups. It's about gathering that research and that data and talking to your actual users, because without talking to your users and gathering data, you aren't building a user experience because you're taking the user out of it. You're not even including the user in the process. That's what's called user experience. And that's what's called UI design, user interface design, where you're designing an interface for that particular user. Is it delightful for them? Is it pretty for them? Does it make sense for them? Is it ADA compliant? Can people who can't see well, who can't see colors, can they actually look at your website and use it and understand what things are? Do all the colors mesh together and just look great? Is there clear contrast and separation between the images and content? Does it make sense for them? Is it properly laid out for them? Is it in buckets that they can clearly understand? Like, all right, this section's for personal information. This section's for company information. Is it clearly blocked out in sections and things like that to help the user get through a process, to get through a form, to get through a website? Is it? Are you guys thinking about that? When you're thinking about user experience, are you guys thinking about that when you think about, I want to be a user experience designer? And the first thing that comes up is Dribble. That's the first thing that pops up, man. I'm not joking. That is not that's not user experience. That's UI design. That's like the UI porn. That's like the pretty stuff. Some of that stuff looks pretty. Don't get me wrong. But it's not functional. It doesn't make fucking sense. If a user were to come in and use that product, it wouldn't work. Especially this anamorphic, whatever this new design trend has come out, where everything looks exactly the same and only separating items by drop shadow. When a user who's colorblind or can't really distinguish contrast very well, that shit's gonna look muddy. That shit's gonna look like one thing. They can't see the separation. They can't tell things apart. And you guys are not thinking about that. You guys are not thinking about accessibility when it comes to your UI designs because you're not thinking about the user. So therefore, you're not doing UX design. Stop calling yourself a UI UX designer if you haven't really figured out the UX part of the design part. If you haven't really figured out the user experience design part. You, my friend, are trying to be a UI designer, a user interface designer. Then go be that. But don't claim that you're a user experience designer when you don't talk to any fucking users. Excuse my language. I'm getting a little crunk. I'm getting a little feisty over here because I'm very passionate about this thing that I do. And I'm just so sick of people, not researching and not understanding how user experience is important to their business, how design thinking is important to their business or to their job or to their function. And so design-led firms, design-led companies are killing the game. They are killing the game. They are disrupting business industries. They're outperforming their competition because they're putting their users at the forefront. So I want to look at this other article here. Let me scroll up. So look at this. This was posted Monday, March 10th, 2014. So she didn't see this. So therefore, from her perspective, she's only looking at it from a design standpoint. She's not looking at it as the overall thing. Because if she were to look at this, she would say like, oh, design thinking, design-led companies are killing the game. They're outperforming the S&P 500 by 228%. That is insane. That is insane. That is a world of difference in far as income, as far as being a thought leader, as far as being user-focused. That is significant. And so who are some of these design-centric organizations? We have Apple, Coca-Cola, Ford, Herman Miller, IBM, Intuit, Newell and Rubbermaid, Nike, Procter & Gamble, Starbucks, Starwood, Steelcase, Target, Walt Disney, Whirlpool. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Why is Microsoft not on here? They're a huge company. They're a $1 billion company, but they're not Apple, right? What makes Apple so great? Man, they involve their users, bro. They get that feedback. They understand what the users want. Man, another example. Look at Starbucks. Look at Starbucks. How many of you have went to Starbucks and paid $5 for a coffee? $5 for a coffee. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But Starbucks knows how to involve their users. They know how to think about the users every step of the way whenever they're creating a new recipe. When you go into their freaking coffee shops, it has this really nice vibe. You go through their drive-through process. They got this really nice designed freaking menu system. The way their menu laid out is big, bright, bold, big images on there. Lots of negative white space so you don't get confused about what you're choosing. All that ties into the user experience, a design-led business. They are killing the game. Even Nike's website, man, you're able to go through that process and buy some Nikes and get your Air Max, 97s on point, paid $110. Think about Target. Everybody loves Target. Everybody loves Target. Why do you choose Target over Walmart? Why? Why do you choose Target over Walmart? Don't they sell similar things? I mean, at Walmart, you can go get an oil change, go get your hair wax, and go get some eyeliner and get some groceries. I get that, but why do you go to Target over Walmart? What is the perceived differences there? I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna let you answer that for yourself. Walt Disney. Why do you go to Walt Disney versus going to Universal? Well, for me, Walt Disney seems a lot cleaner to me. And Walt Disney seems like they put a lot more thought into their process and planning. So, speaking of Walt Disney, the whole Magic Band thing that we all love and like, I was around when they were implementing that. And I was watching on Disney Plus that they went to this whole freaking user research about the Magic Band. They literally built a mock theme park that allowed certain users or certain members to go through that mock theme park and order stuff, get on rides, fast passes, etc. Because they wanted to see how effective the Magic Band would be. How would it help? How would it help the actual park goer get through a line faster? How would it help them pay faster? How would it help them have a better experience versus like reaching to their pocket, trying to find cash, trying to spend that, going to the fast pass booth, and everything is connected through the app, the application that they built. They can literally go on there, connect their fast pass to the app, schedule a fast pass from 5 days from now. Versus having to go to Tower Terror that morning, trying to get into the Fast Pass line, get there. Oh my God, I can't get a Fast Pass till 5 p.m. It's 9:30 in the morning right now. I got to come back to the park to ride this ride. I'm good. I guess I'm going to be riding Tower Terror today because I'm not coming back. And I'm not sitting at 2-hour line. That's insane. I've done that before, and I'm so spoiled now that I don't even like going to if there's more than a 30-minute wait at Disney, I won't even get on the ride because guess what? I've ridden every ride, okay? I've experienced it. It's not new. I'm just doing it for y'all. And if I wait in the line for 2 hours, it's because either one, you've never been on this ride, or two, I've never been on this ride. I ain't riding Tower of Terror in 2 hours. I've been on that thing 1,000 times. Not doing it. But I just wanted to go back to, design thinking. So is design thinking really bullshit at the end of the day? When you think about design thinking as a whole, and you think about design thinking as how it helps a business grow, as it helps them, get more notoriety, more revenue, is it really bullshit? Think about that. Because when you approach something, actually, when you approach design thinking in the form as a thing, design thinking is a thing. This is a thing that we use instead of thinking about it as a methodology and a process and a way of looking at your business and how can you better help your business grow. You're gonna miss the mark completely. You're gonna overthink it and just completely miss it. I mean, 228% over 10 years. That is significant. significant difference. It's not a joke. Look at this. Look at this graph. This graph is insane. From 03 all the way up to 2013, 2014. Look at the gap here. And why are more companies mimicking these Apples, these Coca-Colas, these Fords? Why aren't more companies doing this? Because they're afraid of change. They're dinosaurs. They always done this. They always done this thing this way. They need new lifeblood in their business. They need new management. They need new people. They need new ways of thinking. That's the problem. They don't have that. And once you do have that, you get significant gains like this 228%. So, is design thinking bullshit? In my opinion, it is not. It is not bullshit. It is not bullshit to the person who really understands the value of implementing a design thinking methodology and applying that towards every step of the process when you're developing a product, when you're thinking about the user every step of the way in your product. Because your users are the reason why you are there. Your customers are the reason why you are there. And customer retention is hard. Without customer retention, yeah, you can make a product and you could probably get, a couple of thousand people to try your product. But how many people are going to stick around and pay for that product? And that's to me, that is the core differences. So I challenge you all, for one, to understand the differences between user interface designer, user experience designer, and product designer. Look those definitions up. Also challenge you to think about design thinking, not in the sense of the actual word design, but how does it apply to business and how does it apply to your role when you're designing products? And also I challenge you to think about your users. Are you constantly thinking about your users when you're developing products? Are you constantly thinking about your users when you are developing wireframes and prototypes and mock-ups and when you're doing strategy? Are you really thinking about your users? And not only are you thinking about your users, but how does the business make money off of this? Because at the end of the day, we need to make money, right? We just can't make a pretty product that people want to use, but can't figure out how the hell they're going to pay for this. How do we generate income from this? Is it subscription based? Is it download only? Is it reselling products? How does this work? Is it over a length of time? Is it a one-time deal? Is it a monthly type of deal? You got to think about that too as a UX professional. Is yes, we want to be able to make a great experience for our users, but how do we make a payment process just as great? How do we sell this product? How do we get people to buy this product without them making them feel like, oh, I'm going to get trapped into another subscription? How do you make that thing feel like, oh, we're adding value to your life, so having another subscription is beneficial to you? How do you design that? And how are you doing that? And who are you talking to make that happen? And also, guys, are you testing your ideas? Are you testing your product with your actual users? Or are you just sitting in these dumbass stakeholder meetings arguing? So let me know in the comments. Let me know how it goes. Design thinking, is it bullshit? To me, no. But if you want to listen to Natasha talk, be my guest. She doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just my personal opinion, just like that's her personal opinion. But I also think this too, before I end this. Natasha, brave on you to go against the grain, to call something that people and that thousands of people in the industry really, really think was very, very beneficial to not only their job, but to their business. And it's been proven and it's evident with all the research that has been done over this past 10 years that you clearly missed, that it actually works. But at the same time, I truly think that you did that to make a name for yourself. And you did, because I'm talking about you and other people are talking about you. And the video that is on the website has over 100,000 views. this is just one location of this video. There's multiple locations that have over 100,000 of views. So shouts out to her for being disruptive and going against the grain and making a name for herself, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. She got the attention and notoriety that she wanted to elevate herself up in a different way. And so I can't be mad at that. You can't be hating on that. So that's one reason why I think that's the reason why she's called design thinking bullshit, because she's a outward thinking person, right? She wanted to challenge the status quo as well as make a name for herself. And she did that. So now people are always talking about her. So we type in design thinking is bullshit or design thinking is dumb, she pops up and people watch that video. And so shouts out to her. No negativity towards her in any way. But I do think that design thinking is not a step-by-step process. And there is data to back up why and who we do this for. All right, guys, with that said, I really do appreciate you guys rocking with the Ugly Unicorns podcast. I really appreciate all the positive feedback I got from the new format and people saying they really liked it. They really liked the idea of changing it. And so if you guys want me to review your portfolio or want to chat with me, make sure you go to Ugly Unicorns website, book a 30-minute session or book an hour-long session, and let's talk about your portfolio, because I know it needs some work. I know it needs some work because mine needs some work, and I'm working on it. So if I can help you, go to uglyunicorns.com, book a coaching book a coaching and mentor session with me on there. 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you want to do. And let's talk about your portfolio, man, because that might be the next topic I talk about is portfolios. And I've reviewed a few portfolios, and yeah, we need to work on some stuff. All right, guys, that's it. I'm closing this thing out. And you know what? I'm going to keep the same. I'm going to keep the same tag because it is what it is. At the end of the day, like I always say, don't just be a unicorn. Be an ugly unicorn. Peace.